are very grateful that everybody is here. ECOSOCC is one of the organs of the African Union responsible for civil society. We've had the pleasure of being hosted in Zambia for the last 5 years, since 2019. And we are very happy to be able to convene this beautiful grouping of civil society citizens from Africa and China on the occasion of this Africa-China people-to-people dialogue. Was that clear to everyone? All right. Thank you so much.
Of the continent-wide transformative flagship project of Agenda 2063, we can achieve this goal. An integrated high-speed train network that connects African countries so that we can travel and transport goods with ease across the continent. A continental strategy for Africa's commodities that ensures a collaborative process in developing and managing the continent's natural resources for all Africans. The world's largest trading zone in the African Continental Free Trade Area, which promotes trade within Africa and with the world. The African passport and the removal of restrictions through the free movement of persons, allowing Africans to travel, work, conduct business and live anywhere within their continent. A peaceful Africa where all guns are silenced. The Grand Inga Dam project will provide affordable and clean electricity. Improved and affordable air travel through a single African air transport market, SAATM, that connects African cities. An annual African Economic Forum that brings together great African minds to develop strategies to harness the continent's vast resources to the benefit of Africans. The establishment of the African financial institutions that promote economic integration and the transparent mobilization of resources to promote economic development. The Great African Museum will preserve and promote our cultural heritage and celebrate Africa's influence on the cultures of the world. Promoting cybersecurity that protects our data so there is safety online and ensures that emerging technologies are used for the benefit of Africans. An African virtual and e-university that provides access to the highest quality tertiary and continuing education to Africans anywhere in the world. A Pan-African e-network for innovative e-applications and services that will transform Africa into an e-society. An African outer space strategy that bolsters economic development across all sectors and positions Africa as a regional market for space products and services. And the Encyclopedia Africana, which will document and celebrate Africa's history, culture, and the contributions of African people throughout the world. Let us unite to build the Africa we want. Visit www.au.int to learn more about Agenda 2063.
This is a continent that during the colonial era was essentially meant to provide raw materials into the industrial machine of Europe. There's a very popular quotation by the former African Union chairperson, Madam Zuma, who said, "We're colonized because of our natural or mineral resources. Our position in global economy today is because of our mineral resources, and our future will be determined by how well we manage our mineral resources." So you have a structure, what I call a structural problem, whereby the raw material is found on the continent, but everything else that went into its production and into its sale or exporting were outside the continent.
Colonialism per se was not about political power. It was about economic power. It was about siphoning out the raw materials to feed into the industries of the West. And this has not stopped. Even though we have been moving towards wanting to trade with the rest of the world, the issue of commodities trade has remained pronounced, literally because it has been the status quo right from the beginning, that Africa produces raw materials, the rest of the world adds value to them, and they come back to Africa as finished products.
The Economic, Social and Cultural Council is one of the organs of the African Union, which has a mandate to provide input into the policies and programs of the African Union. It also has the mandate to work towards the popularization of African Union programs and policies in ensuring that you bring the African citizens closer to the African Union and vice versa. We have the various clusters, which are the thematic working group of ECOSOCC, that has specific technical competencies in providing inputs related to their thematics. So we cluster this civil society grouping within their various clusters and able to mobilize their perspectives and input to provide input into the policies and programs. That is one. Secondly, we also undertake research, knowledge management, to be able to generate empirical-based information that can also inform policy at the highest level. Article 20 of the Peace and Security Protocol requires civil society organization, and ECOSOCC to be more specific, to contribute into peace, security, and stability in the continent. How do we do that? So we engage with organizations that are working on intervention related to peace and security related issues at the constituency level, so that we're able to learn from their intervention to provide input that goes in the form of policy or policy advice to the peace and security. We also have the health-related sector, which is under the social affairs sector, which we call the Social Affairs Cluster Committee. I'll give you a typical example. When the COVID-19 broke out, we saw the significant role of the African civil society, where they were promoting relevant issues related to the COVID-19, raising awareness, allaying fears, addressing issues of misinformation and disinformation on issues related to COVID-19. We also see the significant role that civil society play in terms of the campaign on encouraging African citizens to embrace vaccination. So my name is William Kiu, the head of the African Union ECOSOCC Secretariat based in Lusaka, Zambia. If you look at the ECOSOCC statute, Article 6 of the ECOSOCC statute actually clearly indicates in terms of the eligibility for civil society organization to interface with the African Union ECOSOCC. So one civil society organization that want to work with ECOSOCC need to be a registered civil society organization in their various member states. I think that is a fundamental criteria, that you need to register in your member state, and you need to be seen as an organ that is also implementing programs and policies that are aligned to either the SDGs or the African Union Agenda 2063, which is our own continental blueprint. It is our development plan. It is the 50 years vision of Africa. And therefore, we want to see civil society organization taking ownership of the implementation of that particular blueprint. So those are some of the conditions. The other thing we also want to see in terms of civil society organization engaging with the African Union ECOSOCC, we want organization that not only contribute, but also help in terms of popularizing, not only contribute in terms of its implementation, but also help in popularizing. We see in our various communities, some of these organizations are at national level, sub-national level, and they also have footprint at the community level. How do we take information of the African Union to the community level? So we want organizations that are implementing activities across the board, at the grassroots community level, at the sub-national level, at the national level, at the regional level, and at the continental level. We also want to see organizations that are embarking in research, so that at the end of the day, based on the evidence of their studies, they can also help us with those information that will inform policy decision making. We want to see organizations that are implementing activities and documenting best practices and lessons learned, and even challenges that they encounter on various thematic issues. So let's take, for instance, if you are looking at issues on peace, security, and stability in the continent. We want organizations that are involving in interventions, and from their implementation and their experiences, that can also help the African Union in terms of informing policy from an informed point of view. If you look at the African Union, we have various thematic areas. So peace and security is a very critical issue, that thematic area that African Union ECOSOCC work on. And what are we doing in peace and security? For instance, Article 20 of the Peace and Security Protocol, which creates an opportunity for African civil society organizations through ECOSOCC to play and contribute to the security stabilization in the continent through the Livingstone formula. This is a very important aspect of our programming, where civil society organizations are contributing into peace, security, and stability of the continent. So security issue is very critical. So peace and security is one. Political governance issues, elections issues, social related issues, issues related to agriculture, issues related to economic development. We are talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area. These are all very vital issues that the African Union is looking at. So when you look at the way the AU is structured, the way AU is structured is around thematic areas. So we have the various commissions of the African Union. So ECOSOCC as an organ replicates the various commissions of the African Union. The civil society organizations in Africa take advantage of the fact that we have an organ within a multilateral system that represents the voices of African citizens. This is not only an organ, it is an advisory organ. It is a technical advisory organ, which simply means you have an opportunity to address some of the issues that we are confronted with through the capacity which we have within the civil society spheres. So how do we contribute in addressing issues? We know our society at large is confronted with numerous issues. And because we are practitioners as civil society organization at the country level, implementing activities, complementing government effort, we have an opportunity based on our implementation. Some of the experiences that we get, some of the best practices that we document, some of the lessons that we learned as a result of our implementation. How do we bring that at the table of discussion when we're talking about policy-related issue to help inform policy? So it's very important. But lastly, I would want to conclude that at the national level, we have what we call the national chapters. These are civil society organizations that operate within the country level, that contribute to the popularization of AU programs and policies, and then also support implementation of AU programs and policies. So what do we want to see? We want to see an active civil society national chapter at every given country level, so that they can be able to contribute in ensuring that, one, there is alignment with National Development Plan, with Agenda 2063, but more importantly, to bring the African Union closer to the people.
Imagine a continent filled with limitless possibilities, where every African can realize their full potential. With the implementation of the continent-wide transformative flagship project of Agenda 2063, we can achieve this goal. An integrated high-speed train network that connects African countries so that we can travel and transport goods across the continent. A continental strategy for Africa's commodities that ensures a collaborative process in developing and managing the continent's natural resources for all Africans. The world's largest trading zone in the African Continental Free Trade Area, which promotes trade within Africa and with the world. The African passport and the removal of restrictions through the free movement of persons, allowing Africans to travel, work, conduct business, and live anywhere within their continent. A peaceful Africa where all guns are silenced. The Grand Finger Dam project will provide affordable and clean electricity, improved and affordable air travel through a single African air transport market, SAATM, that connects African cities. An annual African Economic Forum that brings together great African minds to develop strategies to harness the continent's vast resources to the benefit of Africans. The establishment of the African Financial Institutions that promote economic integration and the transparent mobilization of resources to promote economic development. The Great African Museum will preserve and promote our cultural heritage and celebrate Africa's influence on the cultures of the world, promoting cybersecurity that protects our data so there is safety online and ensures that emerging technologies are used for the benefit of Africans. An African virtual and e-university that provides access to the highest quality tertiary and continuing education to Africans anywhere in the world. A Pan-African e-network for innovative applications and services that will transform Africa into an e-society. An African outer space strategy that bolsters economic development across all sectors and positions Africa as a regional market for space products and services. And the Encyclopedia Africana, which will document and celebrate Africa's history, culture, and the contributions of African people throughout the world. Let us unite to build the Africa we want. Visit www.au.int to learn more about Agenda 2063.
This is a continent that during the colonial era was essentially meant to provide raw materials into the industrial machine of Europe. There's a very popular quotation by the former African Union chairperson, Madam Zuma, who said, "We're colonized because of our natural or mineral resources. Our position in global economy today is because of our mineral resources, and our future will be determined by how well we manage our mineral resources." So you have a structure, what I call a structural problem, whereby the raw material is found on the continent, but everything else that went into its production and into its sale or exporting were outside the continent.
Colonialism per se was not about political power. It was about economic power. It was about siphoning out the raw materials, feed into the raw materials of the West. And this has not stopped. Even though we have been moving towards wanting to trade with the rest of the world, the issue of commodities trade has remained pronounced, literally because it has been the status quo right from the beginning. That Africa produces raw materials, the rest of the world adds value to them, and they go come back, Africa has finished products.
The Economic, Social and Cultural Council is one of the organs of the African Union, which has a mandate to provide input into the policies and programs of the African Union. It also has the mandate to work towards the popularization of African Union programs and policies in ensuring that you bring the African citizens closer to the African Union and vice versa. We have the various clusters, which are the thematic working group of ECOSOCC, that has specific technical competencies in providing inputs related to their thematics. So we cluster this civil society grouping within their various clusters and able to mobilize their perspectives and input to provide input into the policies and program. That is one. Secondly, we also able to learn from their intervention to provide input that goes in the form of policy or policy advice to the peace and security. We also have the health-related sector, which is under the social affairs sector, which we call the social affairs cluster committee. I'll give you a typical example. When the COVID-19 broke out, we saw the significant role of the African civil society, where they were promoting relevant issues related to the COVID-19, raising awareness, allaying fears, addressing issues of misinformation and disinformation on issues related to COVID-19. We also see the significant role that civil society play in terms of the campaign on encouraging African citizens to embrace vaccination. So my name is William Kiu, the head of the African Union ECOSOCC Secretariat based in Lusaka, Zambia. If you look at the ECOSOCC statute, Article 6 of the ECOSOCC statute actually clearly indicates in terms of the eligibility for civil society organization to interface with the African Union ECOSOCC. So one civil society organization that want to work with ECOSOCC need to be a registered civil society organization in their various member states. I think that is a fundamental criteria that you need to register in your member state, and you need to be seen as an organ that is also implementing programs and policies that are aligned to either the SDGs or the African Union Agenda 2063, which is our own continental blueprint. It is our development plan. It's the 50 years vision of Africa. And therefore we want to see civil society organization taking ownership of the implementation.
our journey, it is only fitting that we do so here in Accra, a city that embodies the spirit of African unity and independence. It is my singular honor now to launch this first ever ECOSOCC magazine. Thank you, Minister.
Please help me as we raise our glass in this celebration today, in celebrating 20 years as we transit from being a teenager into adulthood. Please. It's a celebration. Thank you, and God bless you.
Voices in the Africa-China agenda in terms of programming, policymaking, implementation, and accountability. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the theme of prosperity underpins our discussions today. But let us be clear, prosperity is not defined or measured only in GDP or mega projects. True prosperity means that a farmer in northern Zambia can trade more easily, that a young woman in Guangzhou can collaborate with a social entrepreneur in Ghana, that ideas, cultures, and innovation flow just as freely as goods and capital without trust and access. For this vision to take root, the Africa-China relation must evolve into a wellspring of real opportunities for African SMEs, for women-led enterprises, for youth-driven innovations. It must not only move goods, but also move lives, generate returns, and offer shared value between the continents. As we build the infrastructure, we must envision the future that are being created. It must be a partnership that creates build access to markets, capital, and knowledge hand in hand. Because if experience has taught us anything, it is that the partnership that lasts are those that anchor in people's trust, dialogue, and mutual respect. This is why civil society is indispensable. Civil society is where value lives, where trust is built. It is the first to rise when injustice rears its head, when inequality grows, when voices are silenced, when communities are left behind. Civil society is the steady pulse beneath progress, the unseen thread that binds policy to people and their aspirations to action. Whether defending human rights, championing inclusive growth, educating the next generation, protecting the planet we share, or building peace from the ground up, people remain at the core of the action and the impact. This is why the very purpose for which ECOSOCC was established, to ensure that the voices of African society are not only at the peripheral, but central to our union's agenda. And we know this work cannot be done in isolation. It takes all of us to be connected, to be collaborative, and to be committed. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we first initiated this African-China people-to-people engagement back in 2015, and it is only after a decade that it's coming to fruition. It has been a long wait, but the pace at which this has gathered momentum since last year clearly indicates that we are now ready to work as one Africa and one China in the spirit of South-South cooperation. I will wish to acknowledge the instrumental role played by the China mission to the African Union ever since we started to engage with them in 2024 to reconnect with CNIE. Our participation at the 7th China People Forum last year under the leadership of the former presiding officer has been a memorable one that while traveling back from Beijing to Lusaka, we took the commitment that we need to open up our arms, to embrace wide open our brothers and sisters from the land of the Red Dragon. The question about how to materialize these open arms dreams kept circling in our minds, but we took the resolve that in spite of all of our constraints, with no matter the little resources, we need to take the first step, reminding us here of the legacy of a great Chinese leader who said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We will definitely look at the expanding scope of the P2P dialogue as kindly requested by Her Excellency, to rotate it amongst our African capital, but to also express our profound gratitude to the government and the people of Zambia for the hospitality that have been rendered to us. And it is going down in the record of ECOSOCC that we have it, the first inaugural edition being held in Zambia. Obviously, we would wish Lusaka to host another edition of the P2P dialogue, but we are also committed to bring it back to Lusaka only when we build or launch our much fancy state-of-the-art new secretariat within the next 5 years. And it is a commitment that we are making, working with the government and all partners, so that this dream becomes a reality. Coincidentally, ECOSOCC was in China in 2015 prior to China's presidency of the G20. And China is now in Africa during South Africa's presidency of the G20. As government will be focusing on G20, ECOSOCC is ready to rally the voices of the African citizenry, be it for the C20, the B20, or the T20. ECOSOCC is ready to learn, but also join forces with Chinese think tanks to lead its support to Africa's G20 presidency. Let me conclude with this. Today's conversation will be wide-ranging, yet each one return to one simple, powerful principle that we are stronger together when every voice is heard. In the end, partnerships are not sustained by declarations alone. They succeed because people believe in them and invest in them. Because people show up like you have done with intention and purpose. This forum is a chance to do what Africa does best, to lead with humility, engage with purpose, and to act with integrity. Let us exchange ideas, commit to action that uplifts, connects, and empower. Let us center people in this partnership, not just as beneficiaries, but as co-creators of a shared future. And so I challenge you all today to ask bold questions and offer honest reflections, because the future of China-Africa relation is not being written by governments or businesses alone. It is being shaped here and by you all who are in attendance today. To the government of the Republic of Zambia, thank you once again for your continued generosity and your leadership in hosting ECOSOCC Secretariat. To our esteemed partners from the People's Republic of China, thank you once again for working beside us in partnerships and purpose. To the civil society organizations here from Zambia, from China, from across Africa, I thank you for your work you are doing, each of you in every corner of this continent. Let this forum not just be the beginning, but a continuous dedication. May what we build here echo beyond the walls of this building in policy, in partnership, and in the lives of our people. I thank you, and I wish this forum a success. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karu. So this brings us to our first spot of culture. I have the privilege to invite the Kalulu Creatives Group to come and give us a brief cultural performance. Can we please welcome them with some applause? Thank you. I think we can agree that was an amazing performance. Can we appreciate them again? Thank you so much. So we are now able to proceed with the rest of our opening session. And I have the privilege now to call upon Her Excellency Charity Charamba, High Commissioner of the Republic of Zimbabwe to Zambia, representing here the African Group of Ambassadors to Zambia. Excellency.
Your Honor, Mrs. Double K. Mutale Nalumango MP, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. It is a pleasure, Your Honor, to speak after such an amazing performance by the cultural group and to also witness your smooth dances. Mr. Lee Chun, Vice President of CNI and former Minister of the International Department of the CPC Central Committee. Mr. Louis Sissoko, Presiding Officer, ECOSOCC. Mr. William Keru, Head of Secretariat, ECOSOCC. His Excellency Selma Malika Haddadi, Deputy Chairperson, African Union Commission, who is following the proceedings virtually. Your Excellencies, my colleagues, members of the Diplomatic Corps, invited permanent secretaries, senior government officials, distinguished invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure on behalf of the African Union Ambassadors Group, and indeed on behalf of the Dean of our group of African ambassadors, and indeed on my own behalf, to speak at this momentous occasion. It is both a great honor and solemn privilege to welcome the delegation from the People's Republic of China and all esteemed guests to this historic gathering, the inaugural Africa-China People-to-People Dialogue here in Lusaka, Zambia. Our histories have long been intertwined through ancient exchanges, modern trade, and a shared struggle for self-determination and dignity. Today, our relationship is entering a new era, one guided by common goals and people-centered cooperation, reminded today of a very important African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Africa stands at the threshold of transformation through the African Union's Agenda 2063. Our continent envisions a future that is integrated, peaceful, and prosperous, driven by its citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. In this journey, China remains one of Africa's most vital partners, particularly through the framework of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC. At the heart of this cooperation lies trust. Trust that Chinese enterprises operating in Africa will respect local cultures and environmental standards. Trust that African voices, including our diaspora in China, will be heard and valued, and trust that both sides will hold each other accountable in the pursuit of sustainable, people-centered progress. This is where ECOSOCC plays a crucial role as the civil society organ of the African Union, exists to ensure that the voices of our people, youth, women, workers, faith-based groups, public and the private sector are not only heard, but are integral to policy making and implementation. ECOSOCC's leadership in convening this people-to-people dialogue reflects a visionary understanding that development is not sustainable without participation, that investment must go hand in hand with inclusion and respect for culture. This gathering, with representatives from civil society, government, and the private sectors of both China and Africa, allows us to draw from the collective wisdom of our communities. Let us use this opportunity not only to exchange ideas, but to co-create solutions. We must ensure these initiatives translate into real, inclusive, and community-based impacts. We, the ambassadors of the African Union, reaffirm our unwavering commitment to promoting investment that uplifts local economies, partnerships that advance peace and stability, and development initiatives that honor the dignity and aspirations of our people. Most importantly, strengthening AU ECOSOCC's role in bridging our civil societies and ensuring that grassroots engagement remains a cornerstone of this partnership. Let us together invest in knowledge sharing platforms, expand youth exchanges, enhance cultural understanding, and empower our civil societies to lead the way in defining the next chapter in Africa-China relations. In closing, I leave you with one final proverb, and this is typical of us Africans. We do have these proverbs. A single bracelet does not jingle. Let us jingle together, Africa and China, in harmony, cooperation, and trust. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I think that was an excellent transition to our next speaker in terms of connecting between Africa and China. I have the privilege now to invite Mr. Li Jun, Vice President of the China Network for International Exchanges, CNIE, and former Vice Minister of the International Department of the CPC Central Committee. Shall we welcome him with applause? Thank you.
Your Honor, Vice President Mutale Nalumango, Chairperson Luis Sissoko, Your Excellency Ambassador Han Jin from China, ambassadors from African Union, ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you all. It is a great pleasure to attend the Africa-China people-to-people dialogue and sharing in friendship, deepen mutual understanding, and pursue cooperation with all guests present here today. First of all, I'd like to thank the EU ECOSOCC for hosting such an important dialogue and for the wonderful arrangements for the Chinese participations. The friendship between China and Africa has deep roots. From trade along the ancient maritime Silk Road to mutual support during the struggles against colonialism in modern times, and now in our joint endeavor to build a closer community with a shared future. China and Africa have always stood together through thick and thin, and we are true partners in win-win cooperation. Our mutual achievements and shared development vividly demonstrate the solidarity and collaboration of the Global South. Today, the world is undergoing profound changes unseen in a century. The global governance system is being reshaped, while unilateralism and protectionism are on the rise, and the global economy recovery remains fragile. In this context, strengthening people-to-people exchanges and deepening all-round cooperation between China and Africa is not only essential for the long-term development of our relations and for realizing modernization together. It is also a crucial step in defending multilateralism and promoting global development. China-Africa cooperation today is setting a benchmark for developing countries seeking independent modernization and is contributing to reforming global governance. People-to-people exchanges are the adhesive of state relations and the living source of friendship among people. The China NGO Network for International Exchanges, CNIE, which I represent, was established in 2005 and currently has 310 member organizations. It is the largest NGO umbrella organization in China in the field of international exchanges. Over the years, CNIE has prioritized fostering people-to-people ties with Africa, building broad platform, developing flagship programs, and conducting a wide range of projects and programs. We have by far hosted 7 sessions of the China-Africa People's Forum. In July last year, we held the 7th China-Africa People's Forum and the 7th China-Africa Young Leaders Forum in Changsha City, Hunan Province. Over 300 participants attended, including dignitaries and former officials, party and youth leaders, representatives of NGOs and think tanks from all 54 African countries. We deeply felt the importance and expectations of African brothers and sisters placed on China-Africa people-to-people relations. At the opening ceremony of the forum, we vividly illustrated the China-Africa cooperation philosophy of sincerity, real results, affinity, and good faith through storytelling and scenario-based presentations. We also released the Silk Road People-to-People Connectivity, China-Africa People-to-People Friendly Partnership 2024-2026, which includes 89 pragmatic cooperation outcomes gathered by the CNIE from Chinese social organizations, media, think tanks, and enterprises. The plan focuses on building practical and effective platform mechanisms, implementing small but beautiful projects to improve people's livelihood, and promoting diverse cultural exchange activities over the next 3 years to contribute to the high-quality development of China-Africa community with a shared future. Now, these initiatives are progressing steadily. Many representatives from Chinese social organizations, think tanks, media outlets, universities, and enterprises participating in today's dialogue are important contributors and active implementers. They also eagerly look forward to meeting more African friends during this visit, expanding the scope of cooperation and achieve new outcomes. This afternoon, during the plenary session on case sharing of Chinese social organizations, you will be able to learn about their work more intuitively and comprehensively. We believe that in-depth exchanges between our peers will spark new ideas and strengthen our shared momentum for development. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, at last year's Beijing Summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, the China-Africa relationship was elevated to all-weather community with a shared future for the new era. This marked another historical leap forward and provided a clear and powerful direction for people-to-people cooperation. We, representing civil society of China and Africa, must seize this opportunity to strengthen strategic planning and practical alignment so that our collective efforts can contribute wisdom and strength to our all-weather community with a shared future for the new era. Here, I'd like to offer a few ideas on how we can achieve this. First, take the 3 major global initiatives as strategic guidance in support modernization in China and Africa. China is pursuing Chinese modernization through deepening reforms, while Africa is accelerating towards the goals of the EU's Agenda 2063. On a shared journey to a bright future, development, security, and civilization are key pillars. We must embrace these themes, practice the 6 major proposals, and 10 cooperation actions on modernization jointly advanced by China and Africa, and focus on delivering benefits to our people. This includes strengthening cooperation in public welfare, cultural exchange, economic and trade development, environmental protection, health, education, sports, and community building. These efforts will enrich the soil of long-lasting friendship and build a hard bridge for people-to-people ties, laying a long bridge to modernization. Second, use the Belt and Road Initiative as a key platform to harmonize development arteries with people-to-people connections. In recent years, under the Belt and Road framework, China-Africa civil society organizations have explored hard connectivity, that means infrastructure, soft connectivity, that means rules and regulations, and people-to-people connectivity, forging a new partnership model that embodies development, that combines development with human warmth. Looking ahead, we must continue to implement the Partnership Action for Development Cooperation proposed by President Xi on the 2024 focus, enhancing innovation based on actual needs, and actively carry out small but beautiful projects and cultural exchanges. These efforts will better embody the Silk Road spirit of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits, allowing the fruits of development to benefit more people. We should also encourage NGOs, think tanks, media, universities, enterprises, and influential individuals to establish regular dialogue mechanisms, promote communication, and build consensus. Third, pursue multilateral collaboration to counter external challenges and defend shared interests. In the face of unilateral actions by certain countries, such as tariff wars, misuse of long-arm jurisdiction, and technological decoupling, true multilateralism and reform of the global governance system are essential to protect developing countries' rights to development and their voice in global affairs. As members of the Global South, China and African countries must enhance unity and coordination, oppose unilateral bullying, and safeguard the global free trade system and the stability of industrial and supply chains. We must uphold equality and mutual learning, oppose notions of civilization superiority, and ideological prejudice. Stay true to our cooperative vision, reject false narratives such as the debt trap, and firmly promote openness, inclusiveness, and the building of a community with a shared future for humankind. Fourth, leverage youth and innovation as engines to open new chapter in China-Africa cooperation. Youth are the future and hope of China-Africa friendship. We should empower young people by fostering inclusive and sustainable exchange mechanisms, aligning policies, building knowledge-sharing networks, and nurturing a new generation of youth engagement. These could include launching a China-Africa Youth Empowerment Partnership Plan, creating a youth innovation community, and offering vocational training through technical colleges to enhance youth employment and entrepreneurship. We should also support youth-led cultural exchange projects such as digital heritage, film production, and music festivals, and encourage youth leaders to initiate social welfare projects, thereby enable two-way learning in governance and civil participation. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of China-Africa friendship has always been written by the people. People-to-people ties are not abstract ideologies. They are about concrete actions and long-term communications. CAIE and the ECOSOCC are old friends and good partners, maintaining close communication and collaboration over the years. Last night, Chairperson Sissoko and I had a pleasant and in-depth exchange on China-Africa people-to-people relations and partnership building, which was highly fruitful. CAIE is ready to use this dialogue as an opportunity to deepen friendship, map out new blueprints for cooperation, and advance our joint efforts. As the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In a world full of uncertainty, we believe that with unity and mutual support, the people of China and Africa will continue to fly the banners of friendship and multilateralism, and together usher in a new era of modernization. Wish the dialogue a complete success. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Li Jun, for these remarks. We will proceed directly down our program, and I have the pleasure now to invite Mr. Louis Sheikh Sissoko, Presiding Officer of the African Union Economic, Social and Cultural Council, ECOSOCC, for his remarks.
Thank you very much. Your Honor, Dr. Mutali Nalumengo, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, respected delegates, ladies and gentlemen, in your ranks, grades, and qualities, all protocol observed. It is with immense honor and heartfelt gratitude that I stand before you today as we inaugurate the Africa-China people-to-people dialogue, a milestone moment not just for ECOSOCC, but for the very soul of our shared commitment to mutual respect, cooperation, and inclusive development. Allow me to begin by extending our deepest appreciation to our Honor, Dr. Mutali Nalumengo, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, for graciously joining us as a guest of honor and keynote speaker. Your presence, Madam Vice President, affirms Zambia's long-standing legacy as a champion of Pan-Africanism and diplomacy. Thank you very much. I also extend profound gratitude to the government of the Republic of Zambia, not only for hosting this inaugural gathering, but for your unwavering support of ECOSOCC and our institutional vision of a people-centered African Union. Permit me to acknowledge our distinguished guests and partners whose leadership and vision continue to elevate this dialogue. We are honored by the presence of Your Excellencies, the ambassadors and high commissioners of the African Union member states based here in Lusaka. Your presence is not merely diplomatic. It is symbolic of Africa's unity, solidarity, and shared commitment to people-centered cooperation. Her Excellency Selma Malika Adadi, Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, also with us virtually. Your support resonates powerfully and symbolizes the African Union's full institutional embrace of this dialogue. Mr. William Keru, our dedicated head of secretariat at ECOSOCC, your steady leadership, tireless coordination, and institutional foresight are the invisible ends behind this entire initiative. William, you embody the ethos of a servant leader, and we salute you and all of your team. Thank you very much. Your Honor, Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished guests, allow me to pay special tribute here to Mr. Li Jun, Vice President of the China NGO Network for International Exchanges and former Vice Minister of the International Department of the CPC Central Committee. Thank you, Mr. Li Jun, for your vision and unwavering commitment to reviving the momentum of Africa-China civil society collaboration. You have led a distinguished delegation of over 60 seasoned professionals from various sectors across China to this historic event, a gesture of solidarity, partnership that we do not take lightly. Thank you for you and your delegation. To our private sector champions, including Mr. Soni Zulu, CEO of Standard Chartered Bank Zambia, Mr. Mukwandi Shibezakunda, CEO of Zanaco, Mr. Abad Reda, CEO of MTN Zambia, and many other industry leaders present in this room. Your presence here affirms that inclusive development must be a shared venture between citizens, states, and markets. And to our courageous African and Chinese entrepreneurs, thought leaders, youth, delegates, and civil society actors, you are the heartbeat of this initiative. Your innovations, ideas, and aspirations give this dialogue meaning, and your active involvement is what we will carry it forward. Thank you all. Your Honor, Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished guests, as a member of the last ECOSOCC Standing Committee, I followed from afar the discussions that took place with the CNIE and the Chinese Embassy in Addis. Thus, when I took office at the head of ECOSOCC, with the Secretariat and the Standing Committee, we decided to make the discussions already underway one of the priorities of this mandate. Through this affirmed and sustained desire for partnership, ECOSOCC, in accordance with its mandate as representative of African populations, wishes to build with China a bridge between our two peoples. We are convinced what to have more impact and live up to expectations, the partnership between China and Africa must develop at the people's level. From technological advances in many fields, such as agriculture, electronics, solar energy, science, AI, mobility, to trade and cultural exchanges, Africa and China have much to offer to each other and much to learn from each other. Your Honor, Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished guests, this gathering is not a mere conference. It is a reclamation of a human in diplomacy. It is an affirmation that partnerships should not be limited to state houses and boardrooms, but must echo through our communities, classrooms, clinics, and cultural spaces. Today, we stand on the shoulders of history. We remember with pride the 25th 15th Forum Declaration on People-to-People Cooperation, co-convened by ECOSOCC and CNIE under the stewardship of the late Dr. Joseph Chilengi. While implementation faltered in the wake of global disruptions, we are here to say we are picking up the baton. This week, we are not just exchanging pleasantries. We are setting a roadmap for civil society engagement under the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, advancing the AU's Agenda 2063 and reaffirming the AU's commitment to the power of citizens in shaping our partnership. Let us behold in how we include grassroots voices. Let us be innovative in how we finance and scale community-led solutions. Let us be accountable to the generation that will inherit the legacy we are shaping here today. And let us together ensure this dialogue is not a one-time affair, but a platform institutionalized, resourced, and driven by the shared values of friendship, dignity, equality, and mutual development. In closing, I wish to echo the theme of this gathering: strengthening friendship, empowering communities. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a good session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Louis Sheikh Sissoko, Presiding Officer of ECOSOCC. We now have the opportunity and privilege to hear from Her Excellency Salma Malika Haddadi, Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, who has kindly joined us online. So let me invite my technical colleagues to please project Her Excellency so that she might begin her statements.
Morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Mutale Nalumango, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. Honorable Mulambo Haimbe, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Distinguished group of African ambassadors in Zambia. The Presiding Officer and leadership of ECOSOCC. Mr. Li Jun, Vice President of CNIE and Head of the Chinese delegation. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates and friends, all protocols duly observed. Good afternoon to all of you. It is a great honor and a pleasure to address you today on this landmark inaugural Africa-China Peoples-to-Peoples dialogue. I would have much wished to be with you today in the midst of this wonderful gathering in Lusaka, but I am constrained with competing schedules at the Commission. But at least I was very much keen to find a way for me to be part of this very important gathering and meeting. On behalf of the African Union Commission, allow me to reiterate our profound gratitude to the government of the Republic of Zambia, not only for hosting the ECOSOCC Secretariat since 2019, but also for the unwavering support to ECOSOCC over the past years. Such a continued commitment has enabled the organ to reposition itself as one of the most vibrant AU organs. Thank you, Zambia. It is truly heartening to witness ECOSOCC renewing its ties with the China NGO Network for International Exchanges. I am pleased to see the evolution of this growing partnership, which has now culminated in the launch of the inaugural Africa-China People-to-People Dialogue. This marks the beginning of many new opportunities that lie ahead. On this, allow me to commend ECOSOCC for its determination and commitment in organizing an event of this caliber, bringing together such a huge number of high-level delegations from China, along with dozens of international delegates from the civil society and business communities together, is a powerful start to develop a fruitful partnership. Today's dialogue is a testament to the enduring bonds between Africa and China, bonds that have been forged through long-standing, multifaceted partnership. Africa and China share a history of mutual respect, solidarity, and collaboration. From the Bandung Conference to the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, known as FOCAC, our partnership has strengthened and was anchored in the principles of equality, solidarity, shared prosperity, and a common vision for a more just and better global order. When African and Chinese civil societies come together, they unleash a powerful force for transformative change. By uniting grassroots organizations, youth movements, cultural leaders, incubators, innovators, as well as academia, we cultivate deeper mutual understanding and co-create solutions to shared challenges, from climate resilience to digital inclusion. This people-centered partnership strengthens the foundation of Africa-China relations, ensuring that cooperation is not just about governments or institutions, but also about relationships between people. It drives tangible progress that uplifts communities and builds bridges of trust for generations to come. The true strength of our ties lies in the connection between our people, entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, and civil society leaders who bridge cultures, innovate together, and turn challenges into opportunities. Let us use this dialogue to deepen understanding, amplify youth and women's voices, and explore new avenues for collaboration in education, science, technology, innovation, culture, and sustainable development. As the African Union's Agenda 2063 reminds us, the Africa we want is one of unity, prosperity, and global solidarity, and China is a vital partner in this journey. Together, we can build a future where Africa and China thrive side by side, guided by the spirit of Ubuntu and ancient Chinese wisdom. When brothers are of the same mind, they can cut through metal. I wish you fruitful deliberations, and I eagerly look forward to the second edition of this dialogue in 2026. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Excellency. We want to particularly appreciate you for having stayed with us from the beginning till now. Thank you so much for your time. So we are about to arrive at the pinnacle of our session this morning. But before we do that, we want to spruce in some little cultural performance as well. We've been hearing quite a bit about collaboration between China and Zambia, and so we want to do the same by inviting our two cultural troops from China and from Zambia to come and give us a short performance before we proceed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shall we welcome them with an applause? Thank you. Another round of applause, perhaps. Thank you. So our performers are from the Hebei Academy of Fine Arts, and that was a rendition of traditional Chinese folk music. Thank you so much for your performance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the honor to hear from our guest of honor, and to introduce, I think we all know who our guest of honor is, but to formally introduce Her Honor, the Vice President of the Republic, I have the privilege to call upon Ms. Mavis Nkomesha, Permanent Secretary for Resettlement in the Office of the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia.
Your Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. W.K. Mutalena Lumango, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is with great honor that I introduce our distinguished keynote speaker for today's Africa Union ECOSOCC People-to-People Dialogue. Her Excellency, Dr. W.K. Mutalena Lumango, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. As Africa gathers to foster unity and progress, Her Honor, the Vice President of the Republic, embodies the spirit of Africa, the spirit of Pan-Africanism, recognizing the unity in strength in our collective journey and towards prosperity. As Zambia's second female vice president, Her Honor has not only made history, but has also championed gender equality and inclusive governance. Her leadership transcends borders, shaping progressive policies that prioritize sustainable development and economic empowerment across the continent. Her profound insight and steadfast advocacy within ECOSOCC have been instrumental in amplifying citizen voices and addressing pressing challenges faced by Africa today. Today, in our greater city of Lusaka, a city at the heart of Africa's citizenry, we eagerly anticipate Her Honor's address as she shares a vision for stronger people-to-people dialogue and inclusive growth. Please join me in warmly welcoming Her Honor the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, whom we fondly call our mother, Her Honor Dr. W.K. Mutalena Lumango, as she illuminates our path forward with her invaluable perspectives and contributions to our shared African future. Your Honor the Vice President.
Thank you very much. Please, we may take our seats. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Li Jin, Vice President of the China Network for International Exchange, CNIE, and former Vice Minister of the International Department of the CPC, Central Committee, my colleague from politics. Mr. Louis Sissoko, Presiding Officer, ECOSOCC. Her Excellency Charity Charamba, Ambassador of Zimbabwe, who is also, I learn, representing, as chair, representing the African ambassadors. His Excellency Han Jing, Chinese Ambassador to Zambia. We recognize you, sir. Mr. William Curry, Head of Secretariat, ECOSOCC. Her Excellency Seo Mamalika Haddad, Deputy Chairperson, African Union Commission. Ms. Mavis Nkomesha, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Vice President in charge of Resettlement. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials here present, distinguished invited guests, members of the Fourth Estate, from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start reading, indeed I'll say good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon to you all. I know there are diplomats here and always careful before they shout. But I think it's such a wonderful meeting, and that's why I've said, just to take note. I think that's why ECOSOCC, with its partner, the CNIE, are making progress. Colleagues, we did listen to their speeches, and I'm wondering, I'm a keynote speaker, so I'll speak. But basically, everything has been said. We remember the speeches that they have made. So profound, important messages in the speeches that have been made, both from the ECOSOCC side, presiding officer, and the Chinese side. Wow. I envy you that you will go through so many things. And I believe by the time you leave, there will have been a lot of knowledge. A number of things. Academicians are here. If you were made to write an essay, out of what has been spoken, I believe you can write a lot. It is important to take note of some of the points that have been repeated. I think I can start with two. What these speeches to me have brought out is about the past. The common, I'm using the word common history. You have heard some talk about common struggles. So when we look to history, we have a lot of common. That's what they have said, and I believe them. And then the other thing is shared future. So if you are planning how to write, you probably have the past, which is common. So you pick out what is common. What have we had in common between China and Africa? And then, listening carefully to the speeches, they have talked about a shared future. Colleagues in the conference, there should be a difference between common and shared. Common and shared. I hope you are looking at me. It is common and shared. There has to be a difference. Because as we look forward, the people to people must be realized. There should be a bonding of people to people. And one even said, the diplomacy now should not just be, for example, economic or building bridges. Huh? You said those are just wars. What we need is people to people connections. People to people that you are working on, ECOSOCC, and the CNIE is what is sustainable. Is what is sustainable, because the people will feel the heartbeat of the other people. There will be an understanding, and therefore the shared future is secured. This is what I've picked from here. People to people. Colleagues, I want to say, indeed, for me, with the little I've learned just from the opening session, and indeed from my speech, I would like to say it is, therefore, with great honor and profound joy that I stand before you today to address the inaugural edition of the Africa-China People-to-People Dialogue. The convening of this dialogue marks a significant milestone in the long-lasting partnership between Africa and China. This dialogue brings together civil society organizations, business leaders, and thought leaders from across our two great regions in order to foster deeper understanding, collaboration, and mutual prosperity. Let me, at the onset, commend the Economic, Social, and Cultural Council, ECOSOCC, Secretariat for choosing Lusaka to be the first African city to host this important gathering. I recall, during my speech at the flag-raising ceremony marking the 20th anniversary of ECOSOCC last year, as referred to, and by hosting the African Union Civil Society organ in Lusaka, organ of the AU. This city has now become the city of every African, the capital of the African citizenry. You are all welcome. This does not exclude the Chinese. Can Lusaka be your city, sir? So today, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome the delegation of the People's Republic of China, led by Mr. Li Jun, Vice President of China NGO Network for International Exchanges, and the former Vice Minister of the International Department of the Communist Party of China Central Committee. Mr. Jun, please convey the warm regards of the Zambian people to the leadership of the CPCC and your government. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Africa and China share a strong bond that transcends geography. A bond built on mutual respect, shared aspirations, and a commitment to a win-win cooperation. We have heard all this. The decades, our relationship has evolved from political, over decades, our relationship has evolved from political solidarity during African liberation struggle, the common past, to a robust economic partnership, especially under the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, the FOCAC. As much as government-to-government engagements have laid a solid foundation, the true strength of our partnership lies in the people-to-people connections, cultural exchanges, business collaborations, and the grassroots initiatives that bring our societies closer together. This dialogue is therefore a testament to our belief that sustainable development is not just about infrastructure. Thank you for having said that, and trade, but about building bridges, about building bridges of understanding between our two peoples, the Africans and the Chinese. Civil society organization and the private sector are the engines of innovation and social progress. You are the voices that advocate for inclusive development. You are the hands that empower communities. You are the visionaries who turn challenges into opportunities. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Zambia recognizes the transformation of ECOSOC since the relocation of its secretariat to Lusaka in November 2019. We are also very appreciative of your recently launched Kenneth Kaunda Graduate Immersion Program. This program is meant to empower the next generation of African leaders through experiential learning and professional development. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, allow me to wear my academic hat, as I was briefed that there are a number of high representatives. I think Mr. June referred to that. As I was briefed that there are a number of high-level representatives of the leading Chinese universities in attendance here today. Africa, and particularly my country, Zambia, would be more than willing to enhance cooperation between our educational institutions. This cooperation will not only be to learn from each other, but also to solicit Chinese expertise to modernize the education system in Africa, especially with the advent of AI. Mr. June, AI, artificial intelligence. Zambia, like many nations, recognizes the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in driving social, economic development and improving service delivery. We therefore need to leverage AI to build a shared future, Ladies and gentlemen, the Africa-China partnership is not just about speed, it is about sustainability, solidarity, and shared success. Let this dialogue be the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where our people work hand in hand to write a success story of progress, unity, and mutual respect. With these remarks, it is my singular honor and privilege to now declare the first Africa-China people-to-people dialogue officially open. May your discussions bear fruit for generations to come. Inaugural. May God bless Africa and China. May God bless the Africa-China people-to-people dialogue. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
A token of appreciation from ECOSOCC presiding officer to Her Honor the Vice President. So we are about to conclude our opening ceremony with the remarks of Her Honor. We will just quickly invite for a brief vote of thanks. Ms. Moteteleno Kalama, a member of the General Assembly of ECOSOCC, based in Zambia, to deliver a statement, a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and honorable participants. As we draw to the curtain on the inspiring opening ceremony, it is my utmost privilege on behalf of the African Union ECOSOCC and the African civil societies to express our heartfelt gratitude. First and foremost, we extend our sincere thanks to Her Honor, our Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Her Excellency, Dr. W.K. Mutale Nalumango. Your insightful contributions and steadfast commitment to development and empower resonate deeply with us. Your leadership continues to inspire and motivate us on our shared journey towards progress and unity across the continent. I would like to take a moment also to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the African Union Deputy Chairperson, Her Excellency, Sauma Malika Haddad, who joined us virtually. Well, your presence today, despite your ongoing engagements at the Commission, speaks volumes of your commitment to our collective endeavors. We understand the demands of your schedule, and we deeply appreciate the time you have taken to connect with us. Your involvement underscores the significance of our dialogue and the importance of collaboration in advancing our shared goals. I would also like to acknowledge and appreciate Madam Charity Charambo, Ambassador of Zimbabwe to Zambia, acting as Chair of African Ambassadors, His Excellency Alphas Matiki, High Commissioner of Botswana and Acting Dean of AGOA, Dr. Amani Asofo, President of Africa Business Council, Mr. Lee Jun, Vice President of CNIE and former Vice Minister of the International Department of CPC Central Committee. Mr. Sani Zulu, the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank, Madam Mukwandi Chivesa, the CEO of Zambia National Commercial Bank, and the CEO of MTN Zambia, Abad Raider. To the leading leaders of business, including those from the banking, telecommunications, and other sectors. Thank you all for your support today and your participation. Your insights and contributions are invaluable to our shared goals of progress and unity in Africa. To the African Union ECOSOCC, team led by Mr. Louis Sissoko, and the Secretariat, thank you for facilitating these very important dialogues and creating meaningful engagement for civil society organizations. To the African civil society organizations present today, your presence reflects our collective strength and resilience together. As we move forward, let's build on today's momentum for bright future for Africa. Thank you very much. Zikomo.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kalama. This concludes our opening session for this morning. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your time. Her Honor, the Vice President has graciously agreed to a family photo with us, which will take place just outside the building. Our team will make the relevant direction. Therefore, I would like to call on the members of the diplomatic corps present, as well as the CNIE delegation, to kindly join Her Honor the Vice President and the high table at the designated area. Thank you so much, and good morning.
This evening is not just a celebration of our past achievement, but a moment to envision and commit the future of our beloved continent.
Welcome. 20 years ago, ECOSOCC was established by the African Union heads of state and governments as a practical mechanism to make this vision of a people-centered and people-driven African Union a reality.
In reflecting upon our journey, it is only fitting that we do so here in Accra, a city that embodies the spirit of African unity and independence. It is my singular honor now to launch this first ever ECOSOCC magazine. Thank you, Minister.